It's the weekly show about rAVe with the hottest news in the AV industry. It's rAVe TV. Give it up for Steph and Gary. Steph and Gary.
Hey, everybody. Hey, Gary. Happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday. I'm glad to see you up and around, Steph. I know it's been a tough week for you.
It has. So for those of you who do not know, those of you who watch rAVe TV and are not aware, I have COVID-19. I am okay. it hit me kind of like a cold. So I'm pretty sure it was the Omicron variant. So luckily, like as soon as I found out, me and a few other girls at work all got it together. We all got exposed together. And luckily, when we immediately found out, we all could kind of like go in our respective apartments and in quarantine. So luckily, it has not been too serious. But a lot of people have asked, like my favorite question that I've gotten when I've talked about like having COVID is when people are like, oh, like, do you know how you got it? And yeah, I do know how I got it. And there's actually a very good video showing pretty much how I got it. So we're going to show you guys.
Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation.
Yeah. So me and a few girls from work went to a concert. We all had masks on, but as we entered the concert, we realized that everyone around us did not have masks on. So even if you are wearing a mask, if those around you are not wearing a mask, that doesn't really help you that much. So luckily we are all okay. We're all fine. We're getting better. So, and no one at the office got infected. We let everyone know as soon as we found out, and no one else has gotten COVID. So it looks like we caught it at a really good time and immediately went into quarantine. So I know it's like not always funny to joke about, but I cope with everything with humor. So.
And you know, we've been through our trials and tribulations with COVID. It all started here in our company with our 15-year-long accountant who kind of the mom of the office died of COVID in July 2020. So we've been affected as much as you can be affected. And currently we have, as you said, 4 people with COVID, I guess luckily not sick and young. I mean, you're all in your 20s, so you're in that demographic that does not seem to be affected like me, for example, knock on wood. But yeah, I mean, it's a serious issue, but at the same time, there's this point where sometime you have to live your life and you're taking a chance, right? You know, you knew when you went to the concert, you were taking a chance. Luckily you're not that sick, but I'll tell you, it's amazing. I will say I'm coming out with my, my annual crystal ball article. It's just awaiting Steph's edits, which, to give her credit, it's going to take her a while because I drop terrible writing on her. But at the end of the article, I literally talk about this and I say, how amazing it is that we have a team of people that find a way to get things done through the worst possible conditions. We've worked from homes, from hotel rooms. We've worked all day long, multiple days with masks on. Every once in a while people get to take their masks off. We can't when we're on a trade show floor because we're going from interview to interview to interview.
Yeah.
And then now we have 4 people working from home that have COVID. Like that, we have a special team. We have a special team here at rAVe. Our producer behind the scenes and editor has COVID, and she's sitting in her bedroom doing this broadcast for
producing
us.
The broadcast from her room. Yeah,
I don't think a whole lot of companies have these kinds of people. I think we have a special magical group of people. And I ended my article this year with a big thank you and shout out to all of y'all who make rAVe happen, because you say that you cope with it by joking about it, but at the same time, there's been times over the last few days that you've been miserable, but yet you still did what you had to do. So I appreciate it, Steph. And you showed up this morning, and you showed up for rAVe TV. This is where you're watching. We're live. I'm coming to you live from the University of North Carolina, my office here at UNC.
Yes, all his pictures in the back.
And Steph is coming to you. Oh, speaking of this weekend, I should tell you about that. But Steph is coming to you live from her kitchen, it looks like, at home.
Yeah.
Your kitchen.
It's
I
a
said, you
studio
have nice
apartment.
cabinets. You have really
Thank
nice
you.
cabinets.
I appreciate that. It's a studio apartment, so kind of just everything's like one room.
And we are live on ravepubs.com or rAVe on my LinkedIn page, the rAVe LinkedIn page, but also we are on Twitter and somewhere else, Facebook.
Yes. So, you said YouTube already? Yeah.
Yeah, and YouTube. Yeah. So we are coming to you live. We do the show weekly. It's just me and Steph talking about what's going on in the industry. And by the way, I had a fun weekend. Thank goodness I didn't get COVID.
Yes, you had a great weekend. Tell me about your weekend.
I know. I should have sent Madeline some pictures, but if you want to see, you can go to my Instagram and Facebook. My youngest daughter, had her senior meet in college. She swims in college, and the last home meet every year for every college team is the senior meet where they say goodbye to the seniors. And she freaking dominated. Like, she swam the best that she swam on all of her events. She won all the events against the competition. And then she's poised really well for the conference championship, which starts in 2.5 weeks.
That's so exciting. I bet that was like a very proud dad moment you had.
Oh, it was amazing. And my older daughter was there, which was cool because
yeah,
she's a full-time worker, and she hasn't had time to see her sister swim because during COVID, no one could see anyone do anything except online. And then prior to COVID, she was working full-time in New York City and had just started a new job, and they wouldn't let her go. So she, for the first time, got to see her sister swimming in college. And what's interesting about that is my daughter, for those that know her, have probably already seen her post on Facebook, which was to honor my younger daughter. But my older daughter said to me one time, "I will quit swimming the day my younger daughter beats her." So I'm quitting the day that Olivia beats me. Well, Annabelle didn't quit, but Olivia did beat Annabelle on almost everything. After, there you go. There's a picture of my two beautiful daughters. We were there at the swim meet. Thank you, Madeline. We were there at the swim meet, and the younger one is the shorter one, or the older one is the shorter one, and she was a much better swimmer than the younger one, but the younger one passed her, except on one stroke. She can still beat her on the butterfly, I think, But they both swam in college, and it was her last. It's kind of bittersweet, Steph. I don't know if you know this, but I've been part of the swimming community, believe it or not, for 21 years. So I've been like a swim parent for 21 years, and it's going to be really weird in 2 weeks on that Saturday afternoon when Olivia swims her last event. I will be no longer a swim parent, and I've been volunteering, and it's kind of weird. I'm sure a lot of parents have experienced this.
Yeah, where it's like their kid's last hurrah. Like, what is she gonna do? Is she still gonna like somehow work swimming in as she enters the workforce, or?
I think she'll do what they call master swim, but she's really likes triathlon. So she and I do triathlons together. We're going to do one together in Puerto Rico in March. So she's really into that kind of stuff. So I think that'll be her outlet for swimming.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But speaking of outlet for swimming, let's talk about the CTS.
Yeah, of course. That's like such a natural segue. So let me pull it up here. So this is really exciting, particularly for me, because Avixa launched an online proctored CTS exam, which means you no longer have to take it at a Pearson VUE center. So keep in mind, this is just for the CTS. They don't have it yet for the CTSI or CTSD. But this is like going to make this a lot easier for people to take. And now it's available in English, German, and Spanish because, you can take the CTS test in other countries as well. So this is going to be really exciting. And I think it's going to be make it a lot easier for people to get their CTS who don't have access or who can't get to a Pearson VUE center if it's not local. So that's exciting for me. That's definitely an option for me to consider as I have to retake my CTS because, as you know, I failed it by 21 points. So I'm going to retake it, and it's nice to know that I have the option to take it online now.
Yeah, and I think it just makes it more convenient, more accessible.
Yeah.
Certainly less expensive ultimately because you don't have to go somewhere.
Right. Which I'm pretty lucky, because I took it at InfoComm because you can always take it at an Avixa show. But I have a Pearson VUE center in Raleigh, which is 30 minutes away from my apartment. So a lot of people don't have that. Maybe their Pearson VUE center is 2 hours away or something. That's just not convenient.
Yeah, exactly. So, and like I said, it's, it means more work, take more time out. And now if you take it from home, you can hang out and do what you need to do. And I think the way it works is it's sort of proctored by a camera. So you do have to have a camera and they watch what you're doing to make sure
they watch you. Yeah.
So and that makes sense because you want the integrity of the exam, which I think is funny, by the way. You have to score higher than a doctor does on their finals to become a doctor, by the way, just in case you didn't know that stuff. Like you literally on the CTS exam are required to score higher than a doctor is in medical school. So
yeah, you have to get a pretty high score. But I think it'll probably work like I had to take an entrance exam for graduate school where it was the similar thing where I had to turn on my camera, and what they make you do is they make you like show your workspace and like show your ceiling and like show everything around you, because people in the past, I guess, have like taped notes to the ceiling. So you have to like move your webcam and show them like all around just to make sure that you don't have anything that can distract or anything that could be construed as cheating. So it's probably going to be.
I know you well enough to know that you wouldn't cheat anyway, because that's the kind of person you are. But I get it. I get it. But
so it's probably going to be like that. But
one of the things I write about in my crystal ball, which by the way should probably come out tomorrow afternoon or maybe Friday morning, we'll definitely do a blast on it to make sure people know it's out. Depending on how much time we need to edit it and put it all together, it may take a few days. But one of the things I talk about is meeting equity. And that's a big part of what Logitech has really latched on to this. Hey, we're going to try to solve meeting equity. And basically what that means is, okay, the way I put it is, prior to the pandemic, that person that joined a meeting remotely was sort of like the stepchild of the meeting, right? And every once in a while you'd forget that person was there. Oh wait, Ryan is here. I forgot he's here. Does he have a question? That kind of thing. Now, after the pandemic, that stepchild of the meeting who's joining remotely that you can't see could be the CEO of the organization. So they could be the most important person in the meeting now. So we got to figure out this meeting equity thing so that the people that are joining remotely aren't treated worse or less than the people that are there locally. And so Logitech's RightSight software, which they've upgraded to RightSight 2, is aimed at solving some of these problems by giving more access to the content that's being shared in a meeting.
And it's like they changed the camera angles to really focus on like showing different people who are speaking, even if those speakers are remote. So I think that is also really interesting. And something that we'll see a lot more of. What you have to do is put multiple cameras in a room. The truth of the matter is meeting equity will not be solved without two things, in my opinion. One is more cameras in the room, and second is more displays in the room. You're going to have to put, portrait mounted or vertically mounted displays around the sides of the room where the people who are remote can come into the room live and you can see them. So they're not like leering. Yeah. Cause it's always weird when there's just one TV or like a display at the front and you are talking to the people who are surrounding you and you feel kind of like you can't really talk to these people on the other side of the screen, that they're not really there.
Exactly. So that's why they need to be there big and obvious. So, but
because that's happened in our meetings sometimes too, because we have some remote workers, and we did like a meeting at like a local restaurant. It was just kind of like we had this really long meeting, a lot of things that we needed to sit and talk about. So we like did it over apps and beer, and there were some remote participants, but I forgot they were there.
I don't even remember who they were, but I feel bad for them because they didn't get the same experience. But we'll fix that in the future. So we have two sponsors of rAVe TV. One is Shure, and thanks to Shure, we sound good. And the other is Legrand, and thanks to Legrand, my stuff is all over my house properly with wiring and mounting and screens and things like that. And Legrand has published a white paper. So
so it's like a trends lookbook. So it kind of gives you some ideas and some kind of shows a little bit about how to design spaces that are conferencing spaces that are made to be hybrid. So it's really cool. We will drop the link in LinkedIn where we are broadcasting now, but you can kind of flip through and they show you how to design kind of spaces around people rather than like spaces just for space. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because what's going to be important in the future is designing spaces around people. So
I agree. And I think that, Legrand's in a really good position to do this because they are a glue company. right? Well, I was talking to one of our clients earlier today, who's also a glue company. It's a good position to say, hey, here's how you should design rooms. Because by the way, they don't make the monitors, projectors. They make only the glue stuff. And I think that, you know, companies like Legrand and Extron and COVID or Crestron and other companies like that are going to benefit from what's going on right now, because they're going to be looked at as leaders for how do we connect all this stuff together? Like, how do we put more than one camera in a room going forward? And how do we control it, right? Because Zoom, it's not easy to control more than one camera through Zoom. You can, but it's not easy to do.
Hard.
So that's going to be a big part of the future of our market is sort of dumbing this stuff down, which is something I talk about in my crystal ball piece as well. Speaking of, by the way, Steph, can I do a plug for that?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
I'd like to do a quick plug. I'm hoping that Kelsey can drop this link if she can find it quickly for my webinar today at 2:00. I'm going to do a one-on-one webinar, meaning I'm going to no death by PowerPoint. I'm actually going to only show a few slides, and it's going to be me talking to the audience about my crystal ball predictions for 2022. And I'm going to kind of challenge them to talk back to me and challenge me on what I'm saying and what I think is going to happen. So instead of it being death by PowerPoint where I'm just showing a bunch of slides, I'm going to be one-on-one talking. And to sign up for that, just click on the link that is being placed in LinkedIn right now. Also, you can easily go to register. It's free. It is CTS approved, all levels of CTS. It's only 1 hour. And you can go to almoproav.com, click on events, or click on education, and then click on webinars, and you can register right there. If you've ever registered for any of my webinars before, you'll automatically be in the system. And I'm going to basically do a visual version of my crystal ball, and then Steph is going to edit the written version and get it posted sometime later this week.
Yep. So this is normally what you do. You normally do the webinar version with Elmo, and then a few days later we drop the full article.
Yeah, because I'm not going to cover everything in the article. And in the article, I literally have a section where I cover 25 companies that you need to become a dealer for that you're probably not a dealer for and probably have never even heard of. Like most of these companies you hadn't heard of. There's this great product from a company called Display Note called Broadcast that I use.
Yes. We published a story on Broadcast yesterday, right?
Yeah,
for Monday.
I've been playing around with it for a couple of weeks. They gave me a little beta of it, and it's amazing. What it does, Steph, is my presentation, my keynote, which I present to my class. I have a class of 120 students. I put up a code at the beginning of class. All they have to do is scan the code with a QR code or type in the numbers, and boom, on their computer screens, on their phones, on their tablets appears my keynote presentation, which I'm presenting in the front of the room. So they get it right there on their personal device. They don't have to join Zoom to do it. They don't have to, it's boom right there. And that is a great product. That is a good example of why you should be a dealer for Display Note. So I'm going to tell you about some products like that from companies like that you may not have heard of if you join me today at 2:00.
It's so funny because that's a very simple solution. And it's always funny to me, the companies that capitalize on these really simplistic things that's oh yeah, that is actually really useful. And that's a really simple concept. Of course people need that. Why didn't anyone think of that before?
Yeah. I mean, especially if you're a presenter and, you have rooms now, like this particular classroom seats 250 people. There's people sitting way back there in the displays. We have great projectors, but still you're missing some of the data potentially. So, of course, students, as you know, always want a copy of the slides. And now I can
they do.
I can say, make your own copy. So I don't have to post them.
They do. They like to follow along, and if they don't hear you properly, it's easier to look at it on their own devices, I think.
Yeah.
But
hey, I got a question for you. Do you like in-ear or over-ear headphones? Because
it just depends, because I'm wearing in-ear ones right now, but I totally understand why, for really long-term things where I need to be wearing headphones for a few hours, I prefer over-ear.
Yeah,
what about
and
you?
I love the Shure headphones. Here, these are the ones I use normally. These are my kind of everyday go-to headphones. I actually forgot the model number. You might know that, Steph. You're better at that than me. But I like over-ear because I eventually the in-ear, I feel pressure.
They hurt. Yeah.
I feel air pressure. in the ear ones.
So, okay, yeah, Mark Coxon kind of wrote about this. So he writes about, like, yes, AirPods, which I am wearing a pair of AirPods. They're very popular because they're very simple. They're easy. You just pop them in. And the audio quality is not horrible. It's obviously not the best. But if you're me, you're at home, you got COVID, and you didn't think to bring all your equipment from the office with you, it'll work in a pinch. But what happens is if you're like wearing AirPods often, it can kind of impact earwax. And he talks about how his daughter, like, she was having horrible ear pain, like, during COVID, and finally went to the doctor about it. And the doctor realized that, like, because of her AirPods, it had been, like, pushing earwax. It hadn't had, like, wasn't getting enough air. So it was, like, pushing it down and, like, causing a lot of pain. So I think a lot of people have had that problem during COVID. I did. I had to go to urgent care and get, like, earwax removed.
I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I thought I was the only one that has to get earwax removed professionally.
No, I had to go to urgent care because, like, it was, like, beginning of COVID when we were on, like, Zoom calls all day, every day, like, beginning of 2020. And I had just been wearing AirPods for, like, you know, probably 4 hours a day.
Yeah.
And it, like, I was having a lot of, like, pain and I couldn't hear. And I was, like, having, like, a lot of pressure in one ear, and they had to, like, remove the earwax.
Hey, you know what? The one thing they can, the one cool thing about this is we're learning stuff about me and you that you would not normally learn. But, you know, we're willing to share this kind of stuff.
Care to learn, but you're going to learn it anyway.
That's right. Exactly. So what's next, Steph? What else are we going to talk about? Now, you should, by the way, you can read everything we talk about at ravepubs.com.
Ravepubs.com. Yes, of course, it's always under the news section. We have some of the things to talk about in the blog squad section. But yes, all of this is on ravepubs.com. Very easily for you to go and get it and follow along if you must. So we have some acquisition news. Audinate acquired Silex Insight SA, which is a Belgian company. So I thought that was really interesting because Silex does, like, video, like, they do video networking products for, like, manufacturers of AV equipment. So I thought it was interesting that Audinate bought them out.
What it means is that Audinate is getting a little bit more serious about solving AV over IP. The A, they've already done, but the V, video, they had only provided a 1 gig channel in the Audinate system for you to use a third-party AV over IP platform. This means to me that they're going to launch their own AV over IP platform hardware. And this is kind of interesting because in a way this puts them competitive with a lot of their adopters, right? You know, companies like Extron, they adopt Crestron, they've adopted Dante and use it on their products. And if they come out with video over IP products, that would compete with what Extron and Crestron and others are doing. Kramer.
So does that mean that those companies will then look for, like, a standard that's not making competing products?
I think it is possible that there might be some friction, put it that way.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, Dante's become like a standard, you know, because so many companies have adopted it. But anytime you're competing with your customers, vendors, that's a questionable thing. Yeah. I mean, it's worth mentioning. I don't know how it'll fare it out, but you know, Audinate's so big in our industry with Dante, by the way. You know, they can pull it off, but it just seems a little, I mean, it makes sense for them. I mean, for them to grow, the only way they're going to grow is to go video. They've done everything in audio. Now they're going to try to do the same thing in video. So they're going to try to set up an ecosystem for video so that everyone uses it, the Dante video system, instead of, you know, Crestron's NVX or Extron's NAV or SDVOE for that matter.
Right.
So it remains to be seen. It's just a piece of news that we should report, and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. So interesting. But before we continue, we do have a message from our partner and sponsor, Shure. So check out this video really quick.
Business is changing. People need space, simplicity, and systems they can trust. They need to be ready for the new normal. Most importantly, they need their ideas to be heard.
I still can't really hear you.
Shure's Microflex Complete Wireless System has you covered for live events with social distancing or virtual access to events and conferences. This is high-quality audio made easy, allowing you to stay connected anywhere and keep audiences engaged with the conversations that matter. From one wireless transceiver, you can control up to 125 conference units, each with its own loudspeaker and microphone. The Shure Microflex Complete Wireless for any space and every voice. A conferencing solution for the business world of today.
Any questions?
I'm eating a scone.
Oh, that's nice.
It's chocolate chip. I went to my favorite scone place, and they actually had chocolate chip today. Usually they have like cranberry orange and stuff, but I love chocolate chip.
Is your favorite place the Fresh Market down the street?
No, there's this place on campus here at UNC that has an enormous scone. It's the FedEx building is, the FedEx International, whatever it's called.
The global
studies, yeah.
Yes,
FedEx
that
Global
place.
Studies, yeah. So the daughter of FedEx founder Fred Smith.
I hate that building.
She went to school here, and he built this building the way he wanted. But in the bottom of it, they have a cafe, and they have these amazing scone collection. But they never had chocolate chip scones.
Oh, that's exciting that you got one.
And I just thought I was going to go there every day and ask for chocolate chip scones, and I did for at least 3 months, and then all of a sudden one day chocolate chip scones appeared. Right. So
you created a market for it.
Now I'm asking for coffee chocolate chip scones, and we'll see what those appear too. So
see what happens. That's so funny. I hated that building on campus. It was so far away from everything else.
It's near where I park though.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense. Because it's not anywhere near the rest of the buildings. So if it's on a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, when you only have 10 minutes between your classes, no matter where you are on campus, you cannot get to that building in 10 minutes. It's like a 15-minute walk. It's like a mile. So that's rough. But anyway.
So you got an article about the European events industry.
Yes. I hate talking about bad news, but it's just worth mentioning. Bob Snyder wrote this blog about how the European events industry has just kind of not gotten back to where it was, and it's not looking like it's going to get back to where it was anytime soon. So basically, people who event professionals who have worked on European events, a lot of them have said that most of the ones that they've worked on were unprofitable, and 86% of people have said that the sector has shrunk significantly since the coronavirus crisis, which of course, and 57% of the organizations think the control and enforcing of COVID measures is put way too much in the hands of event organizers by the government. So that's an interesting, statistic.
For me, I'd look at that as an opportunity, but they're looking at that as a hampering. And I get it, because that's not what they were doing before. So you have to kind of relearn something. It's sort of like when they added security to everything, you had to relearn it or hire a third-party company. And this is a temporary thing. So do you invest in that or not? But it's, the issue's been here. The issue's been in Europe. Every country has their own rules and shutdown times. And so it's been very difficult. I am bullish on ISE in May based on what I'm seeing, because Germany's opening back up, Belgium's opening back up, the Netherlands is starting to open back up. I was at a call earlier with Barco today, and they're in their offices. So I think things are starting to open back up. So I think we're more likely to see it. And there are concerts, right? I mean, we got a great article we're finishing with, right? I mean, Tony Bennett.
So there are concerts, and if you are me, you might pay dearly for it if you go to them. But be that as it may, so if those of you are familiar with Tony Bennett and his music, he's just known for having a very croony, very lovely voice, and he's not been doing very well. So he's getting older. I can't remember if he has dementia, I believe, but it's just getting harder and harder for him to perform. So what was it? DPA microphones were the microphones used in his little farewell concert at Radio City Music Hall. And he's known for performing with Lady Gaga. So it was really special for him to get to sing like one last time with her. So DPA just kind of talks about how they set the microphones, how they made the process very easy because they had the band, parts of the band I think were on stage, parts of them were in the orchestra pit. So it was kind of like an interesting install, and DPA talked about how they accomplished it. I thought it was very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, you and I both love stories like this. We like it when there's customer success stories and there's unique things going on. Just the number of mics and mixing that is pretty incredible.
Yes, so the final editing and mixing for the broadcast was done by Tony Bennett's son, which I thought was really cool too.
Oh, I didn't realize his son was in the industry. Yeah, it's like 150 mics, right? Something like that.
Yes, 147 channels.
I mean, 147 channels. That's incredible. Well, I love doing the show with you. I hope that you recover quickly. I hope you get back to normal.
Thank you.
When you come back, we're this week moving into a new office.
So it's going to be like I'm coming and everything is going to be changed when I return from captivity. But I think I will be allowed to enter society this weekend. So,
good.
Yep.
Well, take care of yourself, and thanks to you, and take care of Madeline for us as well. She's in the back.
I will.
I don't see her. I see only the top of her head now. I don't see her.
Yeah, she's back there. All right. Well, this has been another episode of rAVe TV. We will see you guys next Wednesday at noon Eastern. Bye.
It's the weekly show about Pro AV with the hottest news in the AV industry. It's rAVe TV. Give it up for Steph and Gary. Steph and Gary.